Bonjour le chat. Excusez-moi. Il y a un petit lapin, il fait des bêtises comme d'hab. Ça va? Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Allez, c'est l'heure de jouer. Il est où ton jouet? Tu me l'as déposé mais je le vois pas. Ah. Ok, ça commence bien ce stream. Je me retrouve à lancer les jouets du chat. C'est pas comme ça que je vérifie. Oh non. C'est pas comme ça que je vérifie que tout va bien sur le stream. Parce qu'il faut que je vérifie, parce que je pense qu'il n'y aura personne à me regarder. Du coup, je ne sais pas si ça fonctionne. Tac, tac, tac. Donc, je fais, hop, mes installations, tout ça pendant que je dois lancer le jouet du chat. À répétition. Oh, je suis mignonne. Si je coupe le son du stream, je ne vais pas savoir si ça fonctionne. Ça me semble bien. Très bien. Tac, je ferme ça. Hop, hop. Excusez-moi pour les bruitages incongrus. Incongrus, bien sûr. Bref. Pardon. C'est parti. Donc, déplacer le curseur jusqu'à ce que l'ordinateur soit à peine visible. Non, mais j'aime bien, moi, au milieu. J'aime bien voir quand même un peu. Dans la pénombrité, pénombre tout court. Déplacer le curseur jusqu'à ce que le chien et le chat soient amis. Ah non, c'est trop mignon! Il va y avoir un cœur. Oui! Ah non! Ben là, c'est un peu plus qu'ami quand même. C'est beaucoup trop chou! Déplacer le curseur jusqu'à ce que le chiffre 5 devienne le chiffre 9. Ça n'a aucun sens. Oh! Confirmé. Je pense que je peux confirmer là. Petit drapeau. Ah, ça c'est 9. Petite pomme, cloche. Ah, 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 quel 9. Ah, quel 9. J'ai décidé de pas lui mentir, allez. Déplacer le curseur jusqu'à ce que le menu change. Cela dit, c'était pas du mensonge, mais... Jusqu'à ce que le menu change, mais il n'y a pas de menu. Il n'y a pas de menu? Je fais comment? Faut que je retourne sur le menu à chaque fois? J'ai pas de menu. Ah, je suis embêtée. Lequel de ces deux mots avez-vous inventé vous plaît le plus? Oculotatoire, oculotatoire, gratèche. Oculotatoire. Bah, le problème de oculotatoire, j'aime bien oculotatoire, mais le problème, c'est que sonoritairement, phonétiquement, non, auditivement, ça fait. On a l'impression qu'on y va au culot. Façon d'aller au culot, oculotatoire. Alors que oculo, c'est plus oculaire, comme les yeux. Donc je trouve qu'il est peut-être mal choisi parce qu'il fait penser à autre chose. Alors que gratèche, eh ben ça me fait penser à rien. Ah, je peux faire un mitigé. Comme ça. Ne réglez pas le curseur. Je règle pas le curseur, très bien. Vous savez quelle heure il est? Si je regarde mon écran, oui, 21h05. L'heure qui s'affiche maintenant. C'est la bonne heure. Il n'y a pas d'heure qui s'affiche. Il n'y a pas d'heure qui s'affiche. Quelle heure est-il de toute façon? Oui, non. C'est quoi? Quelle heure est-il? Il est l'heure oui. Parce que j'ai répondu oui tout le temps. Y a-t-il des choses que vous ne m'avez pas encore dites sur vous-même? Plein de choses, oui. Aidez-moi. Oui. Reviendrez-vous me voir? Bah évidemment, dès que je relance le jeu. Ah, c'est fini. J'ai envie de relancer le jeu rien que pour lui reparler. Rien que pour régler des paramètres absurdes avec lui. C'est presque mieux que le jeu lui-même. Bon, en vrai j'en étais où? J'ai commencé à avoir le saut. J'ai fait une seule fin avec le saut, je suis tombée dans le trou. Le trou du bug. Voilà. Je crois que c'est ça dans mon souvenir. C'est une histoire de Stanley, blablabla. Ça m'énerve ce point rouge là, on peut pas écouter le répondeur. Bref.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Ces petits autocollants. C'est si mignon.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Ok. Je vais faire la fin normale. Enfin, la fin obéissante. Oh. Attends, mais c'est nouveau ça? Oula, 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 attendez. Nouveau texte. Warehouse. We need more planks. Quoi? C'est des planques pourquoi? J'adore les petits dessins. Ah, y a pas le téléphone ici? Comment ça le 3 là? Faut déterrer les restes de Chris. Ok. Warehouse. C'est où le warehouse? C'est un entrepôt hein? Ah, c'est là où il y a le cargo, le machin qui... Ouh. Avec porte rouge et porte bleue? Ouais, red blue. Et puis téléphone à droite. Ok. Attends, c'est un plan pourquoi? Il y a des toilettes. Il y a des cartons. C'est un escalier. Ah, mais attendez. Ah, c'est pas les 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah mince. Si, 6 parce que j'en ai... Ah, c'est les emplacements des figurines. Attendez, attendez. Ça, c'est dans le bureau. Non. Si, je crois que c'était dans le bureau du boss. Il y en avait une. Ça, dans les toilettes. Ça, je me souviens, dans les toilettes, j'en ai trouvé une. Alors, dans la porte pas rouge, pas bleue, il faut que j'aille dans celle, là où il y a le téléphone. Ok. Et sous l'escalier. Et dans l'entrepôt, justement. On a besoin de plus de planques. Shiny float. Là, voilà. Oh. Ah, et puis ça, c'est ceux que j'ai trouvés. Waouh. Près d'un feu. Ça, je l'ai fait dans le bureau du boss. Private place. Phantom person, c'était dans les toilettes. J'ai Inside of a Sequel Exhibit, oui, c'est au début, bah, c'est la première figurine qu'on trouve. Large room, lot of boxes, bah justement, entrepôt, ok. Stairs, something to do with stairs. Donc en bas des escaliers, ok, j'irai après. Entre rouge et bleu, entre porte rouge et bleu, très bien. Je les aurai, vous inquiétez pas. LOL. Cookie. Attends, ah non, LOL looks like 427. Ah, c'est vrai que les figurines ressemblent à Stanley. Just take it from me. Un endroit rouge, un endroit bleu. Mais malodorant. Bref. Il y aura une récompense pour les avoir tous trouvés. Live. I want to go home. Oh. Puis voilà l'instinct de perfectionniste. Ah, le complétionniste, d'accord. Oh, something will happen. This one if it's complex. Oh. Well, spinning figurine. Idée. What to do? What do they want? Qu'est-ce qu'il veut? No data. Stock option. Option. Money. Wow, should we make them... Quoi? Empty... Je sais pas. What do they look like? Ah, what do they look like? 427. Why floating? J'avoue. How many are there? Bah, il y en a 6. Oui, ça on le sait. Can we sell them? Obviously. Do we need contact for them? Ah! Someone in cargo room. C'est d'accord, cargo room. Employé 421. Building a bridge. Oh! On va avoir la porte 421, très bien. Au niveau du cargo. Mais attends, mais ils ont changé les diapos aussi. Aïe aïe aïe. Aïe aïe aïe, ça va être trop long. J'ai même pas regardé entièrement le PST, comment on appelle ça, le PPT, le PowerPoint. PST, n'importe quoi. Protéines de soja texturées. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Allez, go. Tac à rabalai. Hop.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours.
Non,
but alas,
je veux plus
no
d'autocollants.
stickers.
Non. Je suis tristesse. Partons alors.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Je vais juste vérifier la théorie. Yeah! Bien ça. Enfin, théorie,
Lately, I'm
j'avais
going
là.
back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies.
Oh non, Stanley, moi j'aime bien.
What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Ouais, ouais. J'en ai encore 2 à récupérer. Une dans le cargo et l'autre, je sais plus déjà. Assis entre la porte rouge et porte bleue. Non, j'ai le tourné.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
Oui.
Yes, this is certainly the most logical
Exactement.
explanation.
Ah oui, non, c'est vrai que c'est pas par là. J'aurais pu attendre longtemps. Allez, go. Allons voir la fin du jeu. Ouah, j'ai mon ordi qui rame pour changer un peu.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Oui, tout ira bien, on a un saut.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read
Pourquoi je me suis fait pas toute
Mind
seule, là?
Control
Parce que
Facility.
regardez, il n'y avait pas de barrière ici. Ah si. Parce que c'était dans le noir. Bref. Pourquoi on a un entre-pièce? Je vois rien. On est obligé d'allumer la lumière.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
427, c'est là.
Everyone in the office was
Au coin de
being
mon-
videotaped,
de mon
monitored like
seau.
guinea pigs.
Ah, mais ça
The
reste dans le
bucket
bureau.
had never
Ça, c'est
seen
pas
anything
moi.
like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Bah oui. Ok. Ah oui. Non. Ok, je bug ce soir. Ouf.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
C'est vrai ça.
These questions raised
Est-ce que ça veut
furiously
faire
in
quelque chose tout
Stanley's
court, un
feeble
saut?
mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world.
Aww.
At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Évidemment. Toute l'ouverture, c'est là.
But here was the proof. The heart of the
vrai, j'ai pas trouvé de
operation.
numéro.
Controls
J'ai
labeled
trouvé
with
des numéros,
emotions. Happy or
code.
sad or content. Walking, eating, working,
Ah si, j'ai pas
all of
essayé
it
de
monitored and
8,
commanded from this very
4,
place.
5.
And as the
Y a pas
cold
de 8.
reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world.
Ouais.
They high-fived in a really cool way.
Oh,
And the
je veux
bucket made a
voir.
sassy comment about taking down the system.
Pourquoi on le voit pas à l'écran par contre? Moi je suis pas d'accord. Comment on fait déjà la fin? On éteint le machin.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Ouais, c'est notre destin. Je vois plus rien. Je suis aveugle. Qui a éteint la lumière?
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over?
Oh.
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to...
Oh.
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
No.
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I?
Je sais pas, parce que dans le fond du trou,
Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Stanley est déprimé quand même à force. Oh non, c'est plus triste encore. Enfin, du coup, on n'a pas vu jusqu'au bout, mais finalement, c'est plus triste que la fin au fond du trou. Au fond du bug. Tristesse.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Oui.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Tadam, 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 tadam. Yeah, ça se met à jour. C'est bien ça. Il me reste 2. Après, on fait porte rouge. Hop.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet,
mais
simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Ouais.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Peut-être.
He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort.
No.
And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket. Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
No.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Mariella est toujours là.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. there were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Waouh. La vie est plus belle avec un seau quand même. À gauche.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Mais je me suis
Stanley
pas
decided to
échappée.
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
Oula,
missed a
oula,
memo.
je me suis perdue. J'ai failli louper mon seau.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was
Je vais voir le
home.
musée.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
J'aurais dû aller à droite.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Non, pas par là.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Magnifique
Crushed
tableau
by
à
the
droite.
weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket.
J'aurais mis
Even
de l'eau
now,
verte
in
comme
his
dans
darkest of hours,
les autres
did the
tomes
bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would,
forever.
and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Non, je suis trop absorbée par mon lien avec le seau.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
C'est vrai, comment? Comment?
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket
Incroyable.
knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical
Tout à fait, tout
explanation.
à fait. On est toujours d'accord là-dessus. J'arrive pas à cliquer. Tukudoum, tukudoum. Tukudoum, tukudoum. Tac, tac, tac.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Quoi, le seau aussi? Oui, c'est vrai, il va être écrabouillé pareil. Hein.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the
Yeah.
bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Certes, mais ils ont
At
aussi
this point,
l'opportunité d'aller
Stanley
tout
and the
droit.
bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
C'est la vie. La mort, c'est la vie. Plouf! Tukudoum, tukudoum. Waouh! Oula, oula, oula. Où suis-je? Où vais-je? Dans quelle étagère? Là. Ah oui, c'est vrai.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell. Adieu.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Ah, et pas Stanley par contre. Si. Petit carton.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Ben ouais. Un petit lapin. Le seau vous accueille à la grande exposition. Vous vous tenez au bord du savoir. Tout comme un seau, l'esprit humain est souvent vide à l'intérieur, un vide caverneux. Mais grâce à l'exposition qui se présente à vous, l'esprit peut se remplir, s'enrichir et être satisfait. Les connaissances du seau et son histoire sont les seules que nous ayons véritablement. Ah ouais, pas celles des humains. Utiliserez-vous ce que vous apprenez ici dans le monde extérieur? Accepterez-vous, l'esprit ouvert, ce qui peut vous paraître complexe quant aux informations de cette exposition? Changerez-vous votre vie et la vie de vos proches suite à cette exposition? Ou fermerez-vous les yeux pour continuer à vivre comme avant, dans l'ignorance et l'obscurité? Je sais pas. J'espère que cette exposition va m'ouvrir les yeux sur la grande histoire des seaux. Et je pense que après ça, j'adopterai un seau à mon tour et vivrai avec jusqu'à la fin des temps. On verra si l'exposition me motive. C'est pas motive que je cherche comme mot. Convainc. Que fait cette chaise toute seule ici? Genre comme s'il y avait un guide de l'expo. Comme s'il y avait
Can you see how
des...
arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Adieu, petit seau. Oh, il y a une ouverture là-haut. Comment on va là-bas? En montant, je suis sûre qu'on aura une vue sur ce seau. Ouah, mais c'est un tableau de seaux. Ah, des seaux pixelisés. 25 seaux. Une photographie de 25 seaux. Le plus grand nombre de seaux pris en photo à ce jour. Le photographe a souffert d'une catatonie de plusieurs semaines causée par l'euphorie de l'exposition à tant de seaux à la fois. 25. Attendez, ils sont où les 25? C'est-à-dire qu'il y en a qui sont pas des seaux? Qu'est-ce qu'un seau? Mince, je ne sais pas ce qu'est un seau. Ah, me voilà fort... Mais Scrogneux, je veux aller par là. Pourquoi ils ont créé une pièce? Ouh. Ah non, il y a un escalier. Je regarde juste ça, je redescends. Sceau infernal. Une reproduction du sceau infernal qui, au Moyen-Âge, avait un attrait si intense que des dizaines de pays s'affrontèrent pour en obtenir le contrôle. Il y eut des milliards de morts, et malgré tout, ce simple fait demeure. Personne ne peut contrôler un sceau. Oh, incroyable. Personne ne peut contrôler un sceau. Je contrôlerai un sceau. Un sceau à 2 onces. Waouh. Waouh, ça veut rien dire le blabla. Ce sceau est illustré avec 2 onces. Cependant, un tel concept n'a jamais existé en vrai, car il est considéré comme trop risqué et dangereusement expérimental, en un seul mot. Dangereusement expérimental. Pas facile à dire. Chaque année, des dizaines de personnes sont mises à mort pour le simple fait d'essayer. Waouh! D'essayer d'avoir 2 onces? Je suis sûre que j'ai déjà vu un saut avec 2 onces. Personne n'en est mort. Alors, escalier, droite ou gauche? Gauche, il n'y a rien. Oh, la préhistoire des sous. J'aime pas ces couloirs qui sont ouverts et qu'il n'y a rien. Oh, avant, il pleuvait. Ah non, il y avait un trou dans la grotte, trou dans le plafond. Oh non, tristesse. Viens, je t'apporte un seau. Ouais, ça ramasse l'eau. Et on n'a plus d'eau par terre. Et puis on peut donner à boire à nos brebis. Oh, vive le seau divin. Dessin de grotte. Si nous savons que les seaux précédèrent l'existence de l'humanité, nous ne savons pas de combien de temps. Ce dessin d'une grotte illustre la découverte humaine précoce des commodités du seau. À cette époque, le seau existait déjà depuis plusieurs millénaires. Sérieusement, comment ils savent? Comment on le sait? Qu'il existait déjà depuis plusieurs millénaires. Observez dans ces dessins comme le seau se laisse utiliser, ayant jugé les êtres humains comme étant dignes de ces trésors. Waouh! Waouh, quelle bonté d'âme! Merci le seau. Il y a des bruits étranges par là.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
C'est vrai. J'aurais dû aller à droite. Non mais ça me perturbe, là il y a de la lumière en plus. Le seau accroché. Ah bah voilà. Cette œuvre symbolise la relation nécessaire entre le seau et l'humanité. Quel que soit ce que nous comprenons sur le seau, il y a toujours plus de connaissances qui restent inaccessibles. Cette distance est forcément pour notre bien. Ah, le seau. J'ai envie de plonger dans le truc. Je vais voir l'escalier après là-bas et je reviens ici. Et je saute. Je termine l'exposition et je saute. Purée, c'est moi. Ah ben... Ah ok. D'accord, c'était la fin de l'exposition là-bas. Le saut du stress. Présenter son commentaire. Le saut du stress. Oui, c'est le saut de réconfort qu'ils nous ont dit en français. On y met nos inquiétudes, nos négatives forecasting, nos négatives pensées négatives. Ok, on met tous les trucs négatifs quoi. Stress, niveau d'eau dans le seau. Ah. Waouh. Très bien. Eh bien, sautons. Elle est très petite cette expo en fait. Je suis un peu déçue. Est-ce que ma vie va changer après ce saut? Je sais pas. J'aime pas. Oh! Pardon? Je vole. Quand je vais prendre le saut, je vais tomber. Ah.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong.
Revenir en arrière.
Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Au secours. N'empêche qu'il y avait une passerelle à droite. Il doit y avoir moyen d'y accéder, sinon il n'y aurait pas eu de
All of his
passerelle.
co-workers were gone.
J'y repense.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting
J'ai
room.
pas essayé
Perhaps he
de
had simply
recruter à la
met.
fin.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Mais je vais passer à droite maintenant.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Incroyable pièce. Incroyable.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure.
Ouais.
Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Merci le saut pour ça.
Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in
Aww.
the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home.
Oh. C'est pour ça qu'il peut pas quitter le bâtiment
Stanley
dans la
decided
vraie
to
fin.
just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to
Parce que
be
c'est
in the
ici chez lui.
lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection. But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they
Non,
took the
on s'en
first
laisse jamais.
open door on their left to get back to business.
Je voulais voir les deux portes.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The
C'est quoi cette
cargo
voix du
lift,
son?
yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Oh! C'est nouveau ça. C'est nouveau. Oh! Oh!
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest
Ça va être hyper
friend.
dangereux cette histoire.
So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms.
Oh!
How deeply touching.
Oh! Deeply touching. Fichtre. Oh! Il a changé de place?
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together.
What? Je suis déjà à la porte. What?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And
Exactement.
here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Tellement.
Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together.
par contre,
First,
les
walking
dialogues
through...
restent les mêmes.
Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Non.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Ça va être compliqué cette histoire. En plus, on s'accroche à tout et n'importe quoi. J'ai peur. Il y a une figurine, je la vois. Je vais la louper au dernier moment.
Your getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one.
Oui,
and then
entre la
the
porte
first
rouge et
number
bleue.
will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them. And now we have them all. You
On n'est pas
can't
encore.
go back to when you had no Figler and Marines.
C'est vrai,
None of
c'est
us
vrai.
can.
C'est vrai. C'est derrière moi tout ça. Attends, mais je suis toujours vachement haut. On peut encore aller où comme ça? C'est quoi là par terre? Ok. C'est bien d'avoir mis une petite barrière ici.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Très touchant, très touchant. C'est qu'on est mieux. Bon, allons aux portes. Oh, c'est marrant.
The
Il
meeting
m'a remis
room.
tout.
Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, but no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
J'ai très envie. J'ai très envie, mais il y avait aussi un conduit par là. C'est là que j'aurais dû aller plutôt que de mourir à faire des trucs bizarres. Oh! Où suis-je? Dans les dessous. Oh! 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 Ta-ta-ta-ta. Pas par là, très bien. Oh, tes cassettes! Waouh, ça existe encore? Oui, ils ont toujours des écrans. Oh, oui. Il y a des cassettes partout. Ah, c'est des cassettes de quoi? Marqué quoi sur les... On voit pas. Non. On n'arrive pas à lire. C'est trop sombre et petit. Ah, time to wake up. Oh là. Ooh.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still
haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it.
Non, fais pas ça, laisse-moi.
Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket.
Bah, tant qu'ils connaissent pas,
This is my
ils
golden
savent pas ce que ça
ticket.
fait.
But I
Pas
have
si
to
ça
be
fait.
careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
J'ai jamais du saut. Waouh. C'est les démons du saut. Comment c'est effrayant. C'est quoi cette fin? Mais attends, mais on est dans Stanley Parable 2. Donc il rajoute ce machin. Si je prends pas le saut, est-ce qu'il y a encore ce...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Si j'y vais sans le saut, est-ce qu'il y a toujours le chemin en bois?
When Stanley came to a set of two open... This was not the correct
Comment on
way
appelle
to the
ça?
meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire
La
it.
ventilation.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness.
Ouais.
Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again.
Non.
Then it came back, and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there. Just a kind of, tingle. But
Comment
eager
ça
to
va?
get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Non.
Stanley was so bad
les
at
ballons.
following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Maintenant, faut pas que je me rate. Voilà. Vu que là j'ai pas de saut, est-ce qu'il va pas faire une fixette sur le saut? Du coup, il va enregistrer quoi?
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. That it seemed the office had begun. That it seemed the office had begun.
C'est les enregistrements générateurs du coup.
That it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path. That it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path. That it seemed the office had begun.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do.
Oui.
Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Il se vexe vite quand même. Pauvre petit chou. Oh, what? Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Attends, mais il y a des trucs un peu plus aléatoires qu'avant quand même.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh, il y en a plein là.
A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a
Un
committed
peu plus
bucket,
propre de
a
l'autre côté.
bucket of culture and distinction.
Oui, c'est raffiné. Ouais, dans les bureaux à côté, c'est moins envahi de papier. Dans ceux auxquels j'ai pas accès. Ah, c'est la fin.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Nope, toujours pas.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yeah, good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Non.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was
That's what he
firmly
did tout à
convinced that
l'heure.
the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket
J'ai
asked.
failli me louper. Non, il fait pas. Mais dis donc, le narrateur il a pas râlé.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a
Je l'ai dit
bucket?
tout à l'heure, je
I
savais pas
suppose
que,
that would
à quoi
explain
ressemblait
a
un
lot
seau.
about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Ah. Il fait un peu sombre par là. On y va quand même? On y va quand même, apparemment.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
C'est un piège.
Correct.
Oh!
It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Ouais, mais même si c'est un hologramme. Censé être un seau,
Item
quand même.
2. Is this a bucket?
Je suis pas trop convaincue, mais on dit un coup sur deux.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Pardon, mais si c'est un seau en impression 3D, ça veut dire que c'est quand même un seau. Ça reste un seau. Il peut toujours faire son office
Item
de seau.
3. Is this a bucket?
Oui,
Correct. This is a bucket.
on est d'accord. Je suis quand même pas d'accord avec... Oh,
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
oui.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
Fichtre. Fichtre, fichtre, Imahu. Là, par contre, c'est un seau.
Is this a bucket?
Oui, oui, complètement. Complètement.
Correct. This is a bucket.
J'aurais dû dire non.
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Non.
trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Comment ça peut être les deux? Mais c'est une impression 3D justement. Une impression 3D peut être les deux.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Je peux pas y aller moi.
Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think?
Oui.
Answer me straight, Stanley.
Oui.
Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
Oui.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all
Moi,
sense
je
of
suis pas.
perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago, I could answer these questions with confidence.
Bah, je
Yet
sais
now
pas
I'm
moi non
somewhat
plus.
adrift.
Je sais plus
Do
depuis que
any
j'ai
of
vu
us
un
know what a
un
bucket
tableau
is?
de 25 sous.
Am I a bucket?
Peut-être, peut-être.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
Non. Bah non,
Okay,
parce que toi-même.
Here we go.
Mais j'ai pitié, m'a dit non.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait,
Mais c'est toi-même.
was everything a bucket? Every single
Ben oui.
thing in the game was a bucket?
Ben oui.
Oh my God, I had no
Moi j'ai dit
idea.
que toi-même t'étais un
How
sou,
could-
donc t'aurais dû disparaître
Except
aussi.
me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either.
Ah,
Oh, this is
je
wonderful
crois que c'était
news.
un
We're not
sou pourtant.
buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay?
C'est marrant
And
comme
we'll
des fois,
know that it's all a bucket.
il
But
dit
if
qu'on
you
est dans
run
un
into
jeu et des
anyone
fois,
else,
il
maybe
dit que
don't
c'est la
mention
réalité.
that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Le jeu est un sou. Fichtre. Je m'y attendais pas. C'est tout? C'est tout. Très bien.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Ah, the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place
Exactement.
to be.
Regardez ça comme
And
elle est
here
incroyable
it
cette
was.
pièce.
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley
Celle-là,
once
c'est la figurine,
again
normalement.
obeyed blindly.
Elle est où? Figurine. Dans la pièce alors?
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Dong. Ah, c'était ça notre vie comme avant? Un écran blanc.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket.
1 minute 30. 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 1 minute
Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
C'est quoi cette sonnerie? C'est mon appart. Waouh! Ça y est, on le voit pour de un peu plus sympa que dans la version sans sous. Oh, ces tableaux de sous abstraits. Incroyable. Incroyable. Oh, ces petits souliers là. Trop mignon. Mais attends, mais il est trop chou son appart en vrai. Très bien rangé. Cette baie vitrée là. Petite table devant la baie vitrée. Petite kitchenette. Très petite la kitchenette quand même. Avec des tasses. Pas de... Ah ouais, et puis ça c'est le coin détente. Ah, un peu triste quand même le coin détente. Là dans le coin, il n'y a pas de bouquin. Il n'y a pas de télé, il n'y a rien. Coucou vie! Je suis dans l'appart de Stanley. Ah, bah la télé elle est là. Ah si, il y a un canapé. Ok. Il y a le seau. Bonjour Stanley, c'est moi ton seau. Appuie sur triangle pour m'emmener au travail avec toi. Mais je viens de rentrer dans mon appart. Je vais pas aller au travail avec toi. C'est quoi là? C'est les toilettes? C'est la salle de bain? Oui, c'est mon seau de compagnie. C'est mon seau de réconfort. J'appuie sur
The
triangle.
Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Non, c'est pas dans ma tête. Il est où mon seau? Pourquoi on m'a enlevé mon seau? Il est déjà dans mon bureau, tout va bien. Tout va bien. Il est là. Appuie sur rond pour me ramener à la maison avec toi. Eh bien... rond.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Il est là, sur la table. Tout va bien. Appuie sur X pour retourner au travail. X.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location.
Oui, bah le liquide
That's
de mes
it.
émotions.
It doesn't do anything else.
Le jeu c'est quoi? C'est Stanley Parable, c'est tu joues un employé de bureau qui appuie sur des boutons. Et un beau jour, il se rend compte qu'il a plus qu'il a plus d'ordre sur son ordi. Donc il a plus à appuyer sur des boutons à son boulot. Du coup, il veut sortir. Il a quand même une pièce à lui, hein, je veux pas dire, mais tous ses collègues, ils sont en open space. Lui, il a une pièce, il a un vrai bureau. Bref, il sort et il se rend compte que tous ses collègues ont disparu. Et tout ça, en fait, ça nous est raconté par un narrateur, celui qui nous parle là depuis tout à l'heure. Et tu as le choix, d'écouter ce que dit le narrateur ou pas, ou d'aller contre ce qu'il raconte. Et du coup, le jeu, c'est surtout de voir toutes les possibilités que le jeu te permet. N'écoute pas la grande bouche. Narrateur, grande bouche. Appuie sur carré pour rentrer à la maison. Rentrons à la maison. Il fait nuit.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Alors là, je suis perturbée. La lumière bleue de ce mini salon là, elle vient d'où? Là, la lumière jaune, d'accord, c'est la LED de la cuisine. Mais cet effet bleuté, pardon, mais ça n'a aucun sens. Où est mon seau? Ah, c'est pas un seau, c'est la corbeille. Où est mon seau? Où est mon seau? Il est pas dans le salon. Il est là. Appuie sur flèche du haut pour ignorer tout le monde dans ta vie sauf moi. Allons-y.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now
Exactement.
on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
Ouais, regarde. Et les effets de lumière sont incroyables. Tu sais que j'existe, pas vrai, Stanley? Appuie sur triangle pour entrer à la maison. Go.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Appuie sur triangle pour revivre cette journée avec moi. Encore et encore. Il est toujours minuit quand il rentre Stanley chez lui. Hein. Ou alors il s'est pas changé l'heure.
God, what am I saying?
Ouah, cette ombre, elle fait peur.
Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Appuie sur Julio pour rentrer à la maison, retourner au travail, à la maison du travail, à la maison du travail.
Oh no.
L'enfer, il devient flou.
I'm having feelings for the bucket. No, 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 no,
Oh,
no, no,
petit
no.
mignon
What's going
chandelle.
on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand.
accès à ma chambre.
Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
Quel beau tableau dessous. Just nice. Machin, il aime le... Ça aussi, ça me perturbe, mais c'est pas possible. On a l'impression que c'est une fenêtre. Pardon, c'est pas une fenêtre. C'est un placard, d'accord. Parce que de l'autre côté, c'est absolument pas... Ouais, ouais. Une poêle, carrément, pour mettre les bougies. Les bougies sur la chaise en bois, je suis pas convaincue, par contre. Minuit 13. Ah ouais? Ah ouais, minuit 13? Minuit là, ok. Il y a 13 minutes de décalage entre la chambre et l'entrée. Très sympa la chambre. Très petite bougie romantique, effectivement. C'est moi, il a une caméra dans sa chambre.
Stanley,
Non,
give me
je
the
suis bête, c'est
bucket.
l'ampoule.
Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Ferme les yeux. J'ai fermé les yeux, apparemment. Retourne au travail, Stanley. Non. Elle était triste, cette fin. Elle était horrible. Ça, c'est parce que j'ai répondu au téléphone. Ok. Maintenant, il faut que je débranche le téléphone. Go, go, go. Voilà. Là, c'est le débit normal, vie.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Nope, je vais à droite.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Exactement.
And here it
Regardez-moi
was.
cette salle
Had
de
the
pause.
bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room?
Oui.
Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Merci. Merci, le sou.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Non.
Stanley took the door on his left
No.
to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift
Oui.
all the way to the
Super
top.
salle de repos,
There's something
toute
up there I
bleutée,
need you
j'aime
to
beaucoup.
do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact.
Mais il y a des
He
ballons
was
qui sont
firmly
posés au
convinced that the
plafond.
bucket
Trop
had
fun.
spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Ok.
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here.
Ok.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Et là, je débranche le téléphone.
Now pick up the phone, said the bucket. Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Non, je l'ai fait. Et c'était horrible.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were
Parce
you
que-
trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at
Oh,
it.
les
But there
fumeurs.
isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that
Oh oui,
one
vas-y.
can watch to
Mets-moi une
oh,
vidéo
wait,
des
yes,
Kiki.
there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
Comment comprendre les blagues?
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds?
Bonne question.
Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes.
Wow.
Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees
Jamais
Fahrenheit, with one of
calculé la
your
distance,
arms
mesurer la
raised straight
distance.
upward at a 15-degree angle
Pardon?
from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing.
Faut
To
avoir le
begin
bras
the
levé.
joke, start by stating and
Avec
spelling
un
your
levé.
name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a
Précisément où
second
il doit
time.
rire.
With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm Danny with a funny. I'm Danny with a funny. Maintenant rigoler. Voilà, Vi elle a rigolé, mais elle a rigolé avant. Eh bien écoutez, je saurai maintenant comment
Good.
raconter des blagues.
This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no
Les gens
time
vont
at all.
pas se mettre à
Just remember
répondre
to let them
avant, mais-
stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence, and to very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children
Pourquoi
must
c'est
do
parti
after
si
us,
loin?
and their children after them. Godspeed, and may
Il m'a
Earth
perdu, là.
reign supreme.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it?
Non,
well, no
moi à
matter.
peine.
I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So
Exactement.
with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Ok, on refait. Attends, faut que j'aille à pied. D'habitude, tu me téléportes là-bas, c'est plus simple. autre chose, mais compliqué.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley. The bucket spoke. The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
Non, faut vraiment aller jusqu'aux portes. Je peux pas m'échapper par... Oh non! Oh non, il m'a enlevé la sortie. Je dois remplacer par la magnifique salle de pause. Oh, qu'elle est belle. Oh, qu'elle est incroyable, cette salle de pause. Sublime. Je ne m'en lasse pas. Nous y voilà.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Ok. Manque un peu de couleur pour toi, oui. Oula.
What? We're back at the phone already.
Oh, merci, j'ai
what's
failli
going
refaire
on?
tout
There were
ça.
supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable
vrai que le
comedic
but,
wit
c'était que tu
which
racontes ta
culminates
blague,
in
quand
this
même.
scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to.
Elle manque
And
un
it's
peu de
all
couleur, la
my
salle de
fault. I
pause,
must have
mais
forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the
elle
two
apporte une
doors
couleur
room.
différente dans ce jeu.
What an egregious
J'aime bien.
mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the
Non, t'es un
lowliest
sot.
joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes,
Okay.
surely that will help me
Apprends.
improve my... Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Très bien. Ah, c'est encore noir.
What? We're back at the phone already? No.
Au secours.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Ok. Continue.
What? We're back at the phone already? No.
Ah!
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Il se répète à droite. Hein. C'est avec le même timing. Hein.
We're back at the phone already? No.
Ouais.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors,
okay, je vais
they
aller à
entered
gauche.
the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly.
Oui, mais
There's
dans
no
la
way I
vidéo,
can make the
il dit pas d'aller à
comedic
droite.
timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
J'attendais que tu finisses de parler pour ouvrir le placard à balai.
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? It is a delivery.
Oui, tu l'as
Pale
raconté.
with shame. Pale with shame. Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal. I think I saw it playing guitar. No.
Oh, c'est nul comme blague.
Making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos.
Oui, vas-y, regarde-en plus.
Let's see.
Ah, les crédits se sont arrêtés. C'est reparti. Que me manque-t-il? J'ai pas pris le monte-charge. Enfin, pas le monte-charge, mais le...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Drôle de jeu, oui.
Not everyone is so lucky to
Et j'ai pas trouvé la figurine, du coup.
Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Par là.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to
Avec
himself.
ses rideaux, là,
Yes,
toujours
perhaps it
fermés.
truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Ah, merci le saut.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Non, il est pas
Stanley
rond.
took
Il
the
a pas
door on
rond.
his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Non, je vais prendre ce truc. Au revoir, la lumière. Tidou, 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 tidou.
Oh, good Stanley, I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Pardon? We care about you, Stanley. De quoi? Qu'est-ce que j'ai fait? Pourquoi? J'ose pas y aller. Il y a le placard à balai, il y a la ligne. Il y a ma fausse femme. Il y a le jeu du bébé de l'enfer. Il y a la fougère sur le canapé. Ok, j'y vais. Il y a la fougère.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before.
Ils veulent des nouvelles blagues
Yes,
aussi.
I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Ah, c'est un camion, la porte. Attends, je vais aller dans le placard à balai d'abord. Il est plus petit. Il me semble plus petit. Non, il a la même taille, mais il me semble plus petit. Mon ordi. C'est quoi ce tableau? Ça représente une table? Mais quelle table? Pardon? Quel intérêt? Ouah, les fesses là qui prennent le feu. Elle a des fesses chaudes, ma femme. Elle a les fesses en feu. Bref, je me barre d'ici. Cette fougère. Incroyable fougère. Bref, suivons la ligne, comme il a dit. Ah, je peux pas aller par là. Bon, on va sur la ligne. Ok, ok.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next?
Il manque la
and
musique,
it
par
played
contre.
some silly music as well.
Oh! Pam, pam, padam, pam, pam, pam. Padam, pam, 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 padam, padam, pam. Pam, padam, padam, pam. Pam, padam, padam,
Now This is what the Stanley Parable is all about.
Mais me coupe pas la
Don't you
musique comme ça.
remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them
tu
more
forces trop,
content
la narrateur.
exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Ça me perturbe ces murs en blanc et orange. Ça me fait penser à Counter-Strike. Si, c'était Counter-Strike. Des niveaux pas faits, pas finis. Il y a une porte. Elle s'ouvre pas. Suivons la ligne. Pam pam padam padam pam. Pam padam padam padam. Pam padam padam pam. Pam padam padam. Waouh! Oh, cet effet de lumière là.
Don't you get it, Stanley?
gauche.
We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why
Pourquoi il y a une
I'm
planche?
very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
Hein? Quoi?
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
Non, je grille pas
Can you
du tout.
guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley.
Non,
Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
non, non, tu ressembles trop à GLaDOS en faisant ça. À GLaDOS qui me...
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket.
Il y a une porte
I
là-bas.
don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows.
Il y a des
That
trous là,
is
ça va
its
pas aller.
singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that
Il me
it's
fait
really
peur qu'on
like 10
détruise,
personality traits.
détruise
What
tout.
other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll
Je
have
m'en
to
fiche.
hurry and feed
Je
it.
m'en
We
fiche, je
can't
donnerai
get
pas mon
back to
sou.
the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer
Je m'en
until you
fiche.
crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans,
Non,
Stanley.
je le ferai
Give
pas.
the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Non, j'ai déjà tué mon compagnon cube dans Portal. Je ne détruirai pas mon sou ici.
Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential.
Eh
We
ben,
were going to
tant pis
do
pour
such
elle.
marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of
Non.
it squandered now.
Je m'en fiche.
Goodbye, new friend.
Adieu.
For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Non. Non. Bye bye. Oh la petite main. Bye bye. Salut. Et là je fais l'emote du coucou dans Sky. Avec juste la main qui fait coucou. Bon, j'ai pas eu ma figurine moi d'ailleurs. Hein? Faut que je retourne dans la pièce. C'est dans la pièce de réunion. Hmm.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah oui, le truc aussi, Vi, c'est que ce jeu-là, il est sorti en 2013, si je dis pas de bêtises. Et pardon, figurine friendly. Justement. Donc il est sorti en 2013 et je l'avais fait à l'époque. Et en 2022, donc presque 10 ans après, je crois que... Enfin bref. Ou 2023, ouais 2023 peut-être, donc 10 ans après, ils ont sorti la version Ultra Deluxe. Et moi je l'ai jamais acheté parce que je me suis dit, bah, c'est le même jeu. Et quel est l'intérêt de racheter le même jeu? Il parlait de contenu en plus, mais je voyais pas l'intérêt de racheter le même jeu. Et là, il est en méga super promo. Donc je l'ai pris. Et donc il y avait quand même du contenu en plus. Et notamment dans le contenu en plus, ils ont rajouté des figurines à collectionner.
Stanley stood for a long time in one spot. It's part of the game. He likes to see how long he can go without dying. So far, he's doing excellent. And if he just stays right where he is, I'm sure he'll keep up that good momentum. Let's observe the genius at work.
Le narrateur n'est pas patient. Je suis passée par la fenêtre avec mon seau? Je crois pas.
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
Attendez, c'est par où? Je suis pas sûre d'être passée par la fenêtre avec mon seau.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone? Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self.
Oula.
The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history,
En fait, il commence
of
à me
the
faire peur,
countless
ce seau.
wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans,
Oh
and the
non,
bucket's
le
own
pauvre.
complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken
Il
to
a peut-être
curb the
un
madness and the decay, if
syndrome
only it had been
post-traumatique, le pauvre.
stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket?
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even
C'est quoi la voix de
doing
Stanley?
this?
As Stanley
Listen.
screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like...
Pardon?
My God, Stanley,
What?
you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come,
So-
let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
Il était vivant, il y avait du sang. Elle est horrible cette femme. Non. Pauvre sang. Pauvre sang. Du coup, si, je voulais aller dans la meeting room.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective yet delicate, assertive yet compassionate. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Mais non, je
But
vais à la salle
Stanley
de
had
pause
felt
d'abord.
the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was.
the
Had the
place to
bucket turned
be.
out to be correct? Was this better
Incroyable.
than the meeting room? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the... And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Ok. Ok. Meeting room. Il me manque une statuette entre la porte rouge et la porte bleue. Porte rouge et la porte bleue. Donc ici, il y a le schéma. Donc ça, c'est celui-là, là, ce schéma. Entre la porte rouge et la porte bleue. Il faut que j'aille à droite. Il faut que j'aille à droite. Il y avait un passage à droite. Il faut pas de... Ah! Faut pas que je prenne le seau. C'est pas un téléphone, c'est le seau. Faut pas que je prenne le seau. Il y a une porte à droite qui s'ouvre. Oh. Alors attendez. Est-ce qu'il y a une fin que j'ai pas faite par là? Ah si, je voulais faire la fin
Stanley,
du...
we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers.
Pardon, c'était
If
trop
I
tentant.
did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers. Coming to a staircase,
Je voulais
Stanley
faire
and the bucket walked
quelle fin?
upstairs to the
La fin du
boss's office.
fond du trou, mais avec la lumière allumée. Non, en vrai non. Ça sert à rien. Si, tant qu'à faire à être là. Allez hop.
Stepping into his manager's office,
Ah, puis il y a
Stanley
le
was once
musée
again
aussi, il y a la
stunned
plateforme
to
à droite, je sais
discover
pas
not
comment
an
y aller.
indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Pardon, vite, du coup je vais trouver tellement je l'ai fait cet endroit. Tada. Pourquoi je fais ça alors que je veux juste la statuette? La figurine? Faut pas que je prenne le sou. Et il faut que j'aille aux portes rouges et bleues. Ok.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Boum, poudoum.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely
Pas atterri
cushioned
sur le
his
seau, il est au-dessus de
fall.
moi.
Now, what to do next, Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here.
Ok.
So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of
Aww.
kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis.
C'est vrai.
But it wasn't until the rugs
Oh, la
and the
lumière.
standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like
Coin
a home.
cosy. Dans
In
un
fact,
trou.
after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind
Dans un
control
trou dans lequel ils peuvent pas
facility.
sortir. Duquel
He'd
ils peuvent pas
never
sortir.
gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about,
Toujours
all he
aussi
could
triste, hein.
talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path.
Toujours aussi triste.
It was a
Mais
mistake
à
to
mon avis,
leave the path.
moins
It
triste
was a
que la vraie
mistake.
fin.
It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we
Attendez,
accept
on
the
peut aller
reality
jusqu'où
of
comme ça?
things, maybe this will become an ending eventually.
Ah,
It's what the
c'était arrivé au
bucket
bout.
was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Triste. Triste. Bon, alors je prends pas le seau et je vais aux portes rouges et bleues. Sans prendre les portes rouges et bleues. Ok. C'est noté. On fait ça. Salut le seau. J'ai pas de narrateur? J'ai envie de prendre le seau rien que pour activer le narrateur.
When Stanley
Ah,
came
oui,
to a
d'accord,
set
il est là.
of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge
Exactement.
first, just to admire it.
Toujours passé par...
It was okay.
Oh, comment ça pas mal? Comment ça pas mal? Elle est incroyable cette salle de pause. Pas mal. Non mais... Non mais... Je suis choquée.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Non. Non, tu m'as choquée. Je te suivrai pas.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Non mais tu m'as vexé.
I'm not
Tu
your
m'as vexé.
enemy, really, I'm not. I
T'as dit que la
realize that
salle de
investing
pause
your
était ok.
trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about
Alors
nothing
c'est
but
incroyable.
you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Really?
Oui.
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others?
Pas pour
Are
les
you
gens qui
that
s'en fichent
convinced
des-
that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Il a fermé la porte, ok. Normalement c'était dans la même pièce d'après le schéma.
Now listen carefully, this
Ah,
is
droite.
important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Non, je m'en fiche de
And
la
there it is,
figurine.
the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Je suis sûre qu'il y a plus que ça. Toujours des fumeurs là, hein, qui mettent leur mégots. Ça va être les jeux, Rocket League, machin, c'est mégalon. Rouge, je sais plus. Je sais plus ce que c'est par là.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all
Oh,
these
yeah,
choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Je sais plus. Je sais plus ce que c'est.
What do we want? What are we looking for?